Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing good. Today I've got a very special guest. I'm super excited for this collaboration. I'm joined by Sophia's Football Talk, and I'm a big fan of her content as well. She does a lot of Euro stuff as well as United. But Sophie, first of all, thank you so much for coming on, Sophia. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. First and foremost, thank you very much for having me on. I'm a fan of your channel as well. You're doing very well. So glad that we were finally able to collab. So big up to you.
Oh, thank you so much, and big up to yourself as well for doing amazing content. And obviously, in this video, we'll chat a bit about United and Arsenal because I know there's been a little bit of transfer news going on. But first of all, I want to start off by talking about Ten Hag because he has signed a new deal. He's staying until 2026, if I'm right. I wanted to get your thoughts on this because last season in the league, you didn't have the best season, but you did win silverware, and I think to win that after a difficult season, I think that's pretty special.
Mhm.
But I just wanted to get your thoughts on him extending his deal. What do you make of this?
I mean, I've come to terms with it that it is what it is at this
Mhm,
point. You will be here, or at least for coming, let's say, future. But I wasn't, of course, very impressed with him this past season. Very
mm,
underwhelming. We didn't do well, of course, worst ever Premier League season. But I hope that he can turn things around.
mm,
Might as
yeah,
well. But I am a little bit concerned. But the thing is, though, if he ends up not doing so well, then maybe it'll be a Ruud van Nistelrooy who steps in, as he is now a part of, or going to be at least, not fully confirmed yet, but is about to be a part of the coaching staff. So we have to wait and see. But at least it's not more than 2 years. 2 years, okay, but it's not more. So I'll take it.
yeah. I think that's a kind of good amount because if it doesn't go well next season, then you can obviously
Hmm.
think about a new manager. So it's not like a long time. I think. I think when you won the FA Cup, I think I kind of expect him to stay because you've won something. I know he's won you a bit of silverware, but I know in the league you
Yeah.
kind of want that consistently. You want to perform like you did in that game because I said to so many people in that game I was surprised, but I think United needed to turn the season around and win something. Man City obviously were going to win the league anyway,
Yeah.
so I think United really needed that to help the season as well. I just wanted to say hi to a few people that are in here. Big up Rennie, big up Phil as well. Um, yeah, Maguire is at back. Do you know, I wanted to ask you about Maguire actually because for me, like, I think he's improved recently. I know he's got a reputation for being a bit, not as good. I know he gets mocked a lot, which obviously isn't nice, but do you feel like now would be the time to move him on? I mean, I think he's a good player at the moment, but I
Mhm.
do think you can do a bit better with the
Yeah.
players. So what do you think of Maguire in his future?
I mean, it looks to be that probably he will be going. I mean, he came in the 2019 window alongside Aaron Bissaka's probably also going to be going. So I think it's a good time to let him go. I like you said, I'm not going to sit here and say that he's a horrible
Mm,
player, but I think we can get better, and he can still apologies,
yeah.
he can still do a job somewhere else. 100%. You see that
Mm,
for the England national team, right, where he often do be showing up. So I think somebody else will be able to do well with his services, but just not Man United. So
yeah.
as he stands, he probably will be leaving, and I think it'll be the best decision. But I do want some good money, regardless.
Mm,
Not we won't be getting any of that 80 million plus that we initially,
yeah.
paid, unfortunately. But if we can get 40-ish, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah. I think it's so hard as well with Arsenal players because money now, you can get so much for players, but they have to be fit
Hmm.
as well. It's so hard
Yeah.
when they're not playing that regular football. But I think you could get quite a bit for him because he plays for England when he's fit. And for England, to be fair, he's actually pretty good for England. I know United, he has been better. Last season I thought towards the end he was actually getting better. So I think
Mhm.
at this moment in time, if you can, you should get the money for him. I just wanted to read a question for you. And on this question to your guest, do you think you got rid of the wrong whining Portuguese player?
Wait, who is he referring to? Is
Yeah,
he
I don't know
remember?
actually. I
Is it
don't know if he
Ronaldo
means
referring to?
I don't know if he means Ronaldo. You might
I
let us know,
mean,
Phil. If you are, just let us know.
yeah,
Um,
elaborate on that, Phil. Yeah.
there was a question here. Oh yeah. Do you think Martinez will be able to stay fit throughout the season?
I don't know. I mean, if we can fix up with our medical staff, maybe. Uh, But for the majority of the season, I genuinely do hope that he can stay fit. It's very
Yeah.
concerning that he was so, out of it due to injuries. But I don't know.
Mm.
I have to wait and see. But we are looking to invest into more center backs regardless. So
Yeah,
we'll
it's
see.
hard. It's hard as well to say about the fitness as well because you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You could have a really good season with these players. I mean, I know last season you went through a lot of injuries, which did obviously affect your season as well. So
Hmm.
it's hard to say, but I do think he could. I think he's a great player and got a lot of potential. But I just think injuries can really, affect a player. At Arsenal, we've had
Yeah,
so many injuries. It's
exactly.
so tough. But I wanted to ask you a bit about Rashford because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure United are at the point now where they would rather get the money for him. And first of all, how much money do you think you could get for him? And do you think it'd be better if you moved Rashford on?
You know, very good question. I think with Rashford, it's sad how it's all turned so toxic with both him and the club, the fans. There's a disconnect there. It's very sad. When he first broke through about 8 years ago, almost 8.5 years ago. So young and just so raw and talented, but it's just been
Mm,
all over the place, ups and downs. And sadly, this past season at its worst. I think it would probably be best to have him be sold if
mhm,
the right money comes in. And to answer your question in terms of that, we can have conversation around 80 million, 75 million. We can actually walk you through the door. 80 million, I'll say we can have a conversation. But preferably, it would be great if we could say 100 million, but I think 80 million probably would be more so what would be realistic,
mm.
is what I think. But
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
of
it's
your
it's
profit,
hard.
yeah.
Yeah, I do think you could get a bit for him. I mean, I know Arsenal were sort of linked to him, and I've always said he wouldn't be, if named you some players, he wouldn't be the first choice. But I
No.
think I wouldn't say he would be a bad player to have because Arteta as well has got the best out of players like
Yeah.
Xhaka, Havertz as well. Havertz is
Yep.
not only doing well for Arsenal but for his country, the World Cup.
Hmm.
He's doing amazing. So I think it'd be a player that I'd be open to, but I don't think I would pay a lot. Like I said, don't think he'd be the first choice, but I think whoever gets him, I do think they're getting a good player. I think he's a very good player when he's on form. I know throughout the season he has obviously maybe lacked confidence or not played as much, for whatever reason that is. But I think he's a very good player, and yeah, I
Mm.
think he'll definitely go. Maguire wasn't worth 80 million when United, definitely not worth 40 million now. What do you make of that?
I mean, the thing is, though, I would say stocks have gone up. Let's be honest. What he does, internationally, he's often the first one within that team, especially when it comes to the defense. And he's had, I would say, this past season, he had through some injuries, but he did actually very well compared to what I thought he would do.
Yeah.
So I think in the right system, some team will be able to make do. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna say 40. I might be a bit optimistic, but I think it's important that we start to gas our players and start to be done with underselling our players. I'm tired of Manchester United always underselling our players and we be overpaying on everybody else. How about somebody overpay on our players? That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could probably get like 30, 40 million, I think, between
Yeah.
there. I think you could. I think you've got to get the money if you want to buy the players. And there was a question here as well, and I was going to touch on it for Sophia, thoughts on Dillit. I mean, I know you've obviously been linked to him, and especially with Rango, you sort of need a replacement as well. And I'm not sure the price. I think it was around 30 million or something like that. But I personally, for me, I think that would be a really good signing. I
Mm.
think it's a good move from United. But what do you make of that signing? Do you see him fitting into this team next season?
I was a really big fan of him when he first, we heard about him under Ten Hag about 5 years ago in the Champions League, being a captain and all that. But I think the move to Juve was a little bit of a big move back then, hasn't fully worked out. And then Bayern, even though there's a couple of Bayern fans that are really happy with him, but I don't know. I just, I'm not super excited. I think if we get him and then another center back, I can take it. It's fine. But if he's the only one that comes in, then I will have an issue. But I
Yeah.
do hear it with the money. It's obviously not a bad price. He's also report says he's also willing to take a pay cut as well. So that's definitely very positive. But I'm not gonna sit there and say that I'm super gassed. But I'm
Mm.
willing to be proven wrong. I am.
Yeah, it's so tough to know because, like, with so many players, they'll do, they might not have a great season at other teams and they'll come to your club. And it's a big risk to know if they're going to do well. It's so tough
Yeah.
as well. I mean, I feel like Havertz when he came to Arsenal. At Chelsea, he wasn't particularly great. I know he did score in that Champions League final, which was an amazing moment for him, and he
Hmm.
has that experience. But it's a big risk when you bring in players that you don't know will do well. I mean, for Arsenal with Declan Rice, I could always see he was going to do well. But
Yeah.
it's so tough with these players. You've got to really just hope they'll do well. But I think it's good to have different backups. If you bring him in, maybe bring
Yes.
someone else in. But talking on like the positions for United, what do you feel like some of your main positions that you need to strengthen in going into next season?
So we do need to strengthen that defense. So getting, I think, two center backs needs to come in, especially if Maguire and Lindelöf also looks to be
Mm,
going. So we should be getting that. Also, left back, I think, is very important because we cannot be any more reliant on a Luke Shaw. When he was still brought to the English, to the Euros,
yeah,
hasn't played a single minute. That is madness to me. So that is something that needs to be strengthened. I would say also a DM. Casimir looks to be leaving, so we should be getting a DM. And also striker for sure. We've been linked with the Dutch striker from Bologna, Joshua
yeah,
Zirkzee. Looks to be that will probably be happening very soon. So yeah, I think that may be a winger, but it's not really fully a huge priority. If we can get another midfielder, maybe a Cam, we have to wait and see because there are
yeah.
rumors that Bruno could be going, but I don't think that'll happen. But you never know. So
Yeah, I
we'll see.
definitely think you'll have a big summer. I've said for Arsenal, I feel like we're going to get rid of more players than we're going to bring in because I look at Arsenal and I think we're literally almost there. I just think for us, I expect us to make a few signings, but I don't. I think
Yeah.
with United, I think you've got to have a big summer because there's a lot of players
Yes.
that around the squad that probably you would need to move on, and I think you've got to try and make as much money as you can, and I think, I said the FA Cup final, the way you played, I think if you can do that more often in the league, I think I could see getting top four or seeing how that goes. Phil says United have overpaid for players since the 80s. I mean, it's tough really to know. I mean, with players, I mean, Arsenal paid a lot for Havertz, and I look back on now and I don't regret how much you paid for him. So it's hard to know really.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about Sancho. Really, do you feel like what do you make of him? I mean, I spoke to someone yesterday and I said I'd love him at Arsenal if the wages weren't really a problem. But do you feel like that chapter's closed with him at United? What do you make of him?
I think it looks to be that he's probably will be leaving, whether it'll be on a loan or something that order. He'll probably not really wear a Man United shirt anymore. Unfortunately, I would have loved to see him one more season, but
Mm,
I'm not the one that decides. So it looks to be that he probably will be leaving.
yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's quite strange because I know he was linked to United for a while and then he came and it just sort of
Yeah.
didn't hit off in a way. So many, like, I thought he was gonna have an incredible time. It's just hard to
Same.
predict how these things will work out.
Yeah.
I know here for Arsenal, we have been linked to Calafiori and me, and I think it's looking likely will sign him, and I think he would be amazing. I mean, he's come from the team Tomiyasu was at, and Tomiyasu's been amazing. I think the left back one is definitely the one we should go for the most because I think with me, Sinchenko, Tierney's definitely for me gonna go because he's been on loan, and
Yeah.
Sinchenko. I don't feel comfortable with him playing. I can't go through another season, and I don't want to
Agreed.
be harsh or anything or rude, but I just don't feel comfortable with him. Um,
Mm-mm.
I know Timber as well. Timber obviously doesn't really play in that position, but I don't mind him playing that position, but it might not work out, and that's another thing. But I think it's looking like we're gonna sign this guy. I mean,
Yeah.
if you what do you make of it? I mean, I'd be pretty happy with it, but I don't really watch a lot of other leagues, so I can't really judge too
Yeah.
much.
I mean, to be fair, I watched two Bologna games, but that was mainly to focus on when Inter played them, as I
Yeah.
also kind of, after Man United, I do also support Inter. So I only really fully heard about him like at the beginning of the Euros. And then, you start to pay a little bit attention, but I'm not going to sit there and say that oh, I know a lot about it. No, I don't. But
Yeah.
from what I've seen, he looks decent. But I do think maybe people have overhyped him a little bit too much. But hey, you know, you never know. It,
It's
it
yeah, it's so weird. I mean, I know this sound I mean, as an Arsenal fan, I do notice this as well, is that the fans overhype players before they've came in, and I'm
yeah,
like, you've got to wait, maybe hype them up when they've, played for a little while. You
yes,
look at like Saliba as well, you could hype him up now. I think you've got to give players time, and I see it
yes.
so much. It's like Mudryk as well. When we were linked to
That's a
him,
good one. True. Yep.
when we were linked to him, like, Arsenal fans went crazy, and I honestly I'll always put my hands up and say this, I don't watch, other football, obviously the Champions League, the Europa League, but I
Yeah, of
don't watch
course.
other leagues that much, and I'm gonna
I
be honest
hear it.
and say that, and I think, fans probably didn't know a lot about him. I mean, I think Modric is a good player under the right manager system, but I just think you look at it now and I think Trossard has been so much better for us than Modric would have been.
Yes. Yes. I'm not gonna lie, I was jealous when you got Trossard. I was a big fan of him, for Brighton, and when you got him, I was like, "Ooh, good player."
Yeah, I was really, like, content with that. I always
Mhm.
like to give players time. I mean,
Yep.
I knew a bit about him at Brighton, but when we signed him, I didn't honestly, I didn't think he'd be this good, so I'm really happy with how it's going.
Yeah.
There's another question for you here. How do you expect United to start in games next season?
I mean, it depends on who we get,
Yeah.
it really depends on who we get, who goes as well. So I can't
Mm.
fully answer that yet. I mean, our first preseason game starts the day after the Euros final. It's going to be here in Norway, but in a different city from me. So unfortunately, I won't be able to go. But regardless, that will be, I'll be watching, paying attention to the players that we get in. Maybe we have Delict and Xerxes by then. We'll see,
Yeah.
and how that will work. Especially when if Xerxes do come in or somebody else, another striker. It'll be important to see how will Ten Hag integrate him into the team.
Mm. Yeah.
What will it be in terms of with Rasmus Højlund, as he's our number 9, stuff like that. So I don't know, but I
It's
hope that we
yeah.
can play better. That's all.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of say right now because especially, when you've made signings, I think you can feel more confident going into the season.
Yeah.
But it's so early right now to judge. Big up yourself now, lovely to see you in the chat as well. This is referring to the question. I mean, do you expect to have a slow build up in games or press from the start?
Once again, I need to see the players coming
Yeah,
in. I think it's
yeah,
important to know the type of players in terms of what types of system that he wants to play. I mean, obviously we have, the new people in board with Jason
mm,
Wilcox, being the new director of football. He has kind of inside the type of football that he wants Ten Hag to play. So I need to see. the tools first until I can be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. This is
Yes.
what I expect. So I hope
Yeah.
I answered that question, Rabbi.
Yeah, it's so hard because it's so early on, none of our teams have done any signings yet. It's all just
That's
speculation. And
yeah,
honestly, with speculation, I never take it to heart too much because over the years you hear so many rumors and
yeah.
a lot of the time it doesn't happen. So
Hmm.
I'm prepared to see what happens. I'm excited to see.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting time for both our clubs to see what we actually do. I think this might mean in the position. I'm just going to read it. It Question for both. Where in games do you feel that your team is lacking? I suppose he means maybe the positions in which we are lacking. I
Mm,
mean, I think for Arsenal, yeah, I think I'd probably just say a left back, and maybe a striker. The midfield, I'm quite happy with. I mean, we could bring someone else in. Depends on the party. But Jorginho I quite like actually. But I
mm.
think we're pretty close to getting to what we need to be. But what about United, especially on the pitch? Where do you feel like are the most important areas that they need to improve on?
I mean, we don't score enough goals, so I think the attack needs to be assessed
Yeah,
heavily. So I hope, I'm not going to expect too much from Xerxes. Like I said, I've seen two Bologna games, one where he scored the
yeah,
winner. So, from the little that I have seen, I do like him, but I can't sit there and say I know too much about him. But we need to work on that attack, especially the midfield as well. There's been multiple games where we have been fully overrun, so that is something that we need to work on. That I think we
yeah.
have been lacking.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because I know when you attack as well, you struggle to take them chances, and I think if
Yes.
you brought someone in that could, finish those chances, you would be in a much better position. But I think you're going to have a busy summer. I do expect that.
Yeah.
Someone's asked me my thoughts on Arteta and how long till he wins something big. I mean, I think it's a good question. Obviously, it's so weird. I speak to a lot of people. I mean, I know people outside of Arsenal will notice that we haven't won a lot of silverware, and I'm like so desperate to win something like a league title. I've never seen us win a league, so I'm like, I really want it to happen. Um,
How old are you? I haven't asked you.
20. I've never literally when I was born, a few months
Oh,
after born, we won something, so I'm just so unlucky. But
now
do you know what?
Arsenal, you gotta give
When
this girl a trophy. Stop
yeah.
it.
When just for, like, 1 league title, I just wanna see us win it,
Just
but do you
one.
know Yeah, exactly. Do you know what though? I love an FA Cup, I think they're very special to win. I know obviously the league, the Champions League are on a different level, but
Yeah,
I just love an FA Cup. I don't think you can go wrong with that, and I think it's a very
same.
s I know, I think it's like I think nowadays people probably don't give it the credit it deserves, and that's why I thought United winning that was so special, especially for
Hmm.
the team. And I do
Yeah.
think it bought Ten Hag some time as well. I think if he would have lost,
Oh, it probably did.
yeah, but I think it's good for him to win that, and he's able to do that. But
Yeah,
um,
I'm taking
yeah,
it. I
yeah,
mean, just
you got to
because I
take
wanted
it.
him to go, I still won a trophy, and it was lovely. I had a great time.
Yeah, I
So
think I think as
yeah,
well, like even if you're not a fan of the manager, you've just got to put it behind you and just enjoy the moment as
you put the
well.
club first.
Yeah, definitely.
Simple.
I think it's amazing. But on Arteta, yeah, I've said I really like him, and especially
Hmm.
how we've come this far. My only sort of doubt I've ever had is maybe just getting over that line. I'm not sure if that's particularly down to him. Maybe a few of his mistakes last season, because I
Hmm.
know with Havertz,
Yeah,
in midfield, he just doesn't it's not really his position, he's probably better up top, and I think had we had played him more up there, would things have been different? We'll never know, that's the thing, but
that's the thing.
yeah, these things you don't ever know, you're just not gonna know these things, but yeah, I wanted to ask you about Arteta as well because for
Yeah.
me, we were in a crisis when it happened, like, 8th, like, we were a laughing joke, and to be honest, I just laughed at our own club myself, like, we were a mess, um, but there were games that I watched and I thought, "If Arteta did this more, we could do things," and we are playing like that more now, so what are your thoughts on him as someone, like, outside of Arsenal?
Ooh. I mean, I there were lots of games last season that you guys you were cooking. You know, what was it?
Yeah.
The game against West Ham where half the stadium left close to
Mm.
halftime. I think it was multiple games where you scored like more than 4 goals and stuff like that. I felt like with the season before then, when you challenge like the first time, you start off very good, very strong, but
Mhm.
then this season that passed, it was a bit more slow. He did it, he changed up his tactics a little bit to try to kind of maybe in a way shoehorn in a Kai Havertz, tried to put him in midfield, but then he was like, okay, we need to change this up. So it started to be a bit more. It
Mm.
started to click a little bit, but I feel like don't change something that isn't broken. You got
Yeah.
something that works. You have a nice attack. Just keep going. There is something good with him, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
this season that comes can I don't know. I do think the thing is though, have you guys been fully linked with the striker really this window? I don't feel like I've heard that
Do you know
much
what?
as of
We've
late.
never been I don't think we've ever been linked with any strikers, and I know, like, don't get me wrong, last season, I know that we beat teams quite a lot, Chelsea and
Hmm.
and Burnley, other teams. But I always say there's gonna be teams like, for example, when we go to Everton, we really struggle to win. There's gonna be those games. I mean, United, when we
Yes.
played you, we got through that. We didn't really deserve
Yeah,
to win, but like those scrappy games, I think you need a striker for, just to get
exactly.
us through. Champions League as well. Like I watched us when we played Bayern, and I thought if we had a striker, things would have been different. But
Maybe.
last season, do you know, with the Champions League, I wasn't too upset because I wanted to focus on the league because I thought we would really do it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think it's interesting that we've not been linked with a striker, and I don't really think
Yeah.
we're going to buy one. Um, I mean, there's quite a few in the Premier League that I would like, but I don't think we've ever shown interest in like an Ivan Toney.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure Isaac's going to stay at Newcastle, but
Hmm.
it seems like we're going for left back. I don't mind us sorting the left back position out, but I think it's important to address the other positions like a striker. I really want a striker so bad. I just don't
Yeah.
know why we're not really doing that. Big up, Big Al. Lovely to see you in the chat.
Yeah.
Big up to everyone that are
Yes.
watching as well. I've got a question for you here. What is your guest opinion on Jim Ratcliffe?
Uh, Jim. I mean, I don't know. He's he was my first pick for this whole ownership thing. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously it's not a full sale, but it is what it is. I just have to accept it. But I am I don't know. I'm looking at him from afar. I'm still like studying. I'm giving him a little bit of a slight side eye, especially
Mm.
for how things have been with the women's team.
Yeah.
Mm, ah, not a fan, but hopefully you can fix it. But I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. But
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
mm,
I've seen as well the way they treated the women's team.
mhm,
I just think as well, like we're in 2024. Like, why is this
exactly.
the treatment of like
Mm,
like I was looking at something today, and I think it said about the women will have to train at St George's Park or something, and I thought it's a shame that the women have to move for the men. Like, if
ex-
the men need somewhere to train, then they should find somewhere. It,
you built it for these ladies. You just built them, and you're gonna tell them that they have to go. What?
I, I
Why
just
can't the guys stay at the portable thingy? What? I don't get it.
I know.
Nah.
I feel really proud of how everyone spoke up about that because I think it's important to speak up about these things. But
Yes.
yeah, I'm with you on it. I'm not a big fan really with everything
No.
that's going on.
Nope.
Um, big up Empire Media, new fan. Big up you guys. Big up yourself. Big up Football Power Hour. Good to see you in the chat. Big up Sophie and Sophia. Don't forget to hit the subscribe like button, and please do like this video as well, guys. Peter, big up yourself. Question for both: thoughts on your scouting of recent? Has it been good enough for you? I think I can't complain about Arsenal's really. I think ours has been pretty good. I think especially with the players we've brought in as well. Yeah. What about you guys? Would you say yours could be better, or what would you make of yours?
The thing is, after we've been hearing like, oh, we were linked with a Caicedo, during COVID, right? When and we
Mm,
could have gotten for like 2 or 5 million. So obviously, I think we've had a good scouting system
mm,
or proper scouts, but the problem is the board hasn't been listening to them.
mm,
That's the issue. When the board said under what was it when they were looking at Anthony, they were saying he's not really worth more than 20 million, but we go ahead and pay what 90, 80, 90. So obviously, I don't think the scouts have been an issue, but it's the guys ahead that decides to, make the
mm,
decision. So obviously, we've gotten rid of a lot of those guys. We have new people in. So I hope that the new people can start,
mhm.
listening to the scouts. Because what's the point of paying them to do a job and you're not going to listen to them? Doesn't make any sense, you
Yeah,
know?
I think it definitely. I mean, for Arsenal, I think Eddie or Arteta have mostly brought in the right signings, but I think
Hmm.
it definitely goes above, the power they have above, the board and all of that. But yeah, I think you will always get those signings that just don't always go to plan. But I think United have done pretty well at the moment. I think it's going to be interesting to see who you do bring in this summer.
Yes.
I wanted to speak a bit about David Raya at Arsenal, because he signed a deal, but he signed a new deal. I mean, he was on loan and he's now permanent. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on him because it's so weird that season because everyone was so back and forth, Ramsdale, Raya, and for a while I honestly it was so tough because I really love Ramsdale and we built a connection with him, but Raya's come in and I think he's earned his place. I think obviously, Arteta could have treated Ramsdale better and maybe been a bit more honest. I don't know what's happened, obviously, behind the scenes, but it felt like that to me. And it
Maybe
feels
some
like,
kind of
yeah,
miscommunication,
yeah,
potentially.
yeah. And I know, obviously, Ramsdale's dad did speak on a podcast about it. I
Yeah.
mean,
I know. Mm.
I know. Do you know what? It was weird because obviously I know the people that do the podcast and they're nice people, but it's a bit strange, for the dad to come out and publicly,
Yeah.
I do wonder if the club gave him the green light to do that, or he just felt like he had enough and he wanted to just speak about
Maybe it's
it.
like, I need to speak now. Maybe. I don't know.
And no, I did not expect it to go crazy. I'm pretty sure Talksport would have wanted to speak to him, but I know YouTube is a great platform as well.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
great. So I think he just needed to rant. But yeah, I wanted to get your thoughts. Raya, his future's going to be Arsenal. I'm pretty sure he is signed till like 2028 or something ridiculous, like a
Hmm.
long time.
Wow.
Yeah, tell me what you think about him as someone that's outside of Arsenal.
I mean, I would say he's a good goalkeeper. I think maybe a little bit like we, you know, didn't have like the smoothest of start at the beginning,
Yeah,
but he's held his own. I would say. I would
yeah,
say he's been good, more than what
mm,
I anticipated. To be fair, and
yeah.
he kept the Ramsdale out of the team, so he's done what he needed to do. To be fair.
I agree. I always say as well, when you go from a team that's not really competing with league titles or competing
Hmm.
with trophies, it's a different level and you've got to get used to that. And I think at first he made mistakes, but I think that's his way of, make I think when you make mistakes you learn. I think he's had to do
Yeah.
that to learn from that and know, being at Arsenal is different to being at Brentford. Brentford are a great team, but Arsenal is obviously a bit different. But yeah, I feel really happy with him. I think most Arsenal fans pretty much appreciate him and know he's gonna probably stay. And though, yeah, he signed a new deal. I think it's not a surprise, obviously, because him playing most of the games of last season, I
Yeah.
think he's obviously gonna, come for good now. So yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
obviously positive news. Someone's asked about Smith Rowe. Yeah, he's going. I'm expecting him to go, unfortunately.
Probably.
I see it in two ways because I love him, I adore him, but I think for him he's got to go because he's
Yes.
not playing enough. He has had injuries, yeah, but I do think there are times where Arteta could have maybe given him maybe 15 minutes or, a bit more time on the
Oh
pitch.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think he's gonna go to Fulham, which I think he'll definitely shine and be great there. But do you think this is the right
Probably.
move? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you know what? Yeah, I think I didn't know Fulham. That could be a decent move. To just
Yeah.
kind of get him back there. And like you said, there's been moments where Arteta for sure could have put him on,
Mm.
but he didn't. So obviously he's not a part of the plans, and he needs to play football. Can't
Yeah,
just sit there.
yeah, definitely. It's a tough one because I think when we get into the end of the season, we had to win every game, and
Yeah.
I think we all knew our starting 11, which I didn't mind Smith Rowe not playing every game, to be honest.
Hmm.
I just wanted to see him a bit more off the bench, but
Yeah.
do you know what, at first when I heard Fulham, I honestly felt like he could be in a team a bit more higher up in the league. But looking at it now, I think, he's a London boy, he'll be staying in London,
Yeah.
and yeah, I just think I see him doing really well there, and I know maybe internationally he might want to have a career as well, so I definitely
Yeah.
think this would be a good option, and this question we've sort of answered, but I thought we could just go
Yeah.
into it just because anyone wants to know. Football Power Hour says, "What do you think about Calafiori? Sophia, are you sad we missed out on him?"
No, because like I said before you tuned in for Power Hour, I haven't seen that much of him,
Mhm.
to really say that we missed out on him or that I'm sad. I would, be more inclined to want to have like a Jared Brentwaite or a Todibo, or even a Kim Min Jae. I know a lot of people are written him off, but I
Mm.
still believe my stocks are still on him. So, but with Calafiori, I'm okay. I'm fine. You
Yeah,
know,
I
he's a
think
player,
whoever
but
gets him, yeah, I think he's a good player, whoever would ever get him. But I think you'll have other players that you'll bring in that I'm sure will do really well for you throughout the
yeah,
season. Big up Thomas in, he always comments. Big up Soph and Sophia, lovely to see
yeah.
you in the chat. AK Gunnar 49. I know we have sort of briefly answered this, but I just thought I'd ask anyway. Are you happy Ten Hag is staying and signing a new deal?
I'm not gonna say I'm happy. I'm just okay. It's
It
fine.
is what it is, yeah.
It is what it is. We'll move. I hope he can do well, but that's about it. Basically.
Yeah, I think I think like you said, we said about it being, I think it was 2 years or something, or 2 seasons, and I
Yes.
think I
Yeah.
think that's a fair amount of time. I mean, even a season, you'll know then if he's able to
Yeah.
take you where you need to be. But for
Yes.
you next season, especially in the league, where
Yeah.
would you like to finish? Like, what are your, I know it's so hard, as we said, because it does depend on players, but
Yeah.
what would you think is a good season for United next season?
I mean, I want to get top four. I
Yeah.
want to do that, and I want to get a trophy. So we're in the Europa League. I want to win the Europa League. I want to get it again. Let's
Yeah.
go. So
Yeah.
for me, especially now that we've had 2 seasons in a row where we have won a trophy, I want to keep winning.
Yeah.
Progressing. That's where I'm at for sure.
Yeah, I think that would be a good thing. I definitely think you guys getting top four. I think especially, Spurs will need to get top four, Newcastle, Villa, there's so many teams in the mix. I think it's
Yeah,
amazing how competitive it is. But I think
very.
United, I think that's got to be a goal for you guys next season. And then I think Europa League, I think it's probably better you being in that than the Champions League, because I think as well you'd probably struggle, like, I think Arsenal would struggle to win it. I think it's tough right now, but I think it's
I
a good
mean, we
step. Yeah.
struggled though, so we struggled. So with finishing bottom of that group, whoo, yeah,
Yeah, I think it's tough as well. I think the Europa League for you guys is a good step for the future and getting back into the Champions League when you're ready. Because I've always said of Arsenal, if we're not ready to be in the Champions League, I don't really want to be in it, because I don't want to be embarrassed. The thing is, I'd only want us to be in it when we're able to compete, because when we were in it,
mm,
we would get battered, and it's really embarrassing to watch because, you
I
know,
hear.
coming, like, I mean, on aggregate, I can't remember the scores against Bayern, but,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember that.
those are
We
the
did
type.
better this time, though. To be fair,
No,
though.
this time, like,
Yeah,
I feel like we're ready to be in it, and
yeah,
I'm more than happy to be in the Champions League.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
missed
yeah.
it so much, but I think
Yeah.
when you're watching your team get beat, like, 8-2 in aggregate, it's
I
just
hear
really,
it.
it's just like
It's discouraging, you know?
yeah, it doesn't yeah, it's like when you I don't mind, right, I know your teams will get battered, it's just part of football, but I think
Yeah, yeah.
when you see it happen all the time in the Champions League, but I think because 'cause we're ready, I feel really confident,
Mhm.
I think I'd love to win it, but I don't think we're there yet, but I think we
Yeah.
will be soon, hopefully. Um, a good question here for you actually. Sophia, when are you going to challenge for the title again? You haven't won it since 2013. I mean, we've not won it for a very long time either.
It's been a while. I mean, yo, I was 18 when we last won the league, you know? It's been a while. I mean, when will it when going to challenge? I mean, maybe the next 3 years. I don't know. The thing is,
Mm,
though, it's so difficult to even really answer that because we have a manager that I really don't believe in, and we of course have to get rid of a lot of players,
mm,
get some new players in as well. So, I mean, technically, from how we were, after his first season, I would expected us to maybe challenge this season, his third season, right?
mm.
Logically, that would make sense. But we're far away from that. So
Yeah.
maybe in the next 3 seasons, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Don't
taken
know.
us a while to compete,
Maybe.
actually. I mean,
Yeah.
it takes time, and you never know, he could really take you to there. I mean, with Arteta, I would never say I didn't believe it.
Mhm.
I always believed in him, but I think he needed his players to really achieve. And I think
Yeah.
if Ten Hag can bring in players that he wants, and that's going to be a right fit, for the club, I think United can get there in time. I think, like we said, getting top four, I think for you guys, is got to be the stepping stone, I think. Yeah, I
Yes.
think Europa League, I think you could win that. I think if the team really wanted to and could play at that level, more often, I could see it. I think it would be good. I know there's other competitions as well throughout, the thing is, I always speak to Arsenal fans a bit about the League Cup, and a lot of people find it pointless. I mean, I always say a trophy is a trophy.
I
If
agree.
we if we end the season and Arsenal win, I don't know, like a League Cup, an FA Cup, or a league or something like that, these trophies pick up, and it's a good thing for your
Yes.
club to win, right?
I mean, I 100% agree with you. I don't want to be disrespecting a trophy because
Mm,
when it all gets added up, those
yeah.
trophies do count as well.
Mhm.
I, I,
Exactly.
I
Like,
I think so. Yeah,
yeah. Do you know what? This is a good point. We've not won the League Cup since 1993. Like, it's been a while. Yeah.
that was
I don't think
-2. Oh
We've
Lord,
we have never really, I don't think we've properly given it a go, to be honest.
I think you
I mean,
should.
exactly. I
You
always
know?
say that. I mean, the FA Cup, I do think we've had, Man City and Liverpool quite early on, but
Yeah,
I think I get that why we've gotten out early, but I think when we've got to put a strongest team out for these games. I am with you.
I think so.
I don't think any of us should put our noses up to trophies, no matter how small. Like I always say, with a community shield, I see that as a bit of a starter for the season. Like it's like a trophy that
Mm.
can set you up for the season. I mean, I was hoping for that last season, but it clearly didn't work out for us. I was really hoping it would
Yeah,
get us on. But yeah,
yeah,
I think trophies are so important, and I think
it
not
is.
yeah,
Yeah, kind of. You know
exactly.
how you said you kind of look at Community Shield as a starter. I feel more of that in terms of the Carabao Cup. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
okay, it's early on, in the year. There's still a few months left of
Mm,
the season. That it can get you a little bit of a oof push to try
mm.
to get some more, but not always because for us when we won the Carabao Cup, we lost 7-0 the week after. So,
Yeah, it
it's
can pay
not
for it
always.
cracks.
But it depends. If you have the mentality where you actually are not gonna, feel
Mm.
like, okay, we won a trophy, so forget it, the season's done. But if you feel like, no, no, we're gonna on to the next one. Okay, we've celebrated that day. We move on now. It should be
Yeah.
that at
Mm.
least.
Yeah, I think it's so tough because I know as well when you win trophies it can paper over the cracks for us when we won that FA Cup. during
Mhm.
lockdown. It did, but I don't think you should care about that. I think winning it
No.
is so special. I think for us, I think next season, people always say to me, if Arteta doesn't win anything, should he go? And I kind of think in a way it's quite weird. It's hard to answer that because I want us to win so much next season. Like, obviously, if we just won a league, I'd be made up with that. I think if we won the FA Cup, got close to Man City, I'd be disappointed. I'd be very upset we didn't beat Man City to it, but we have
Mhm.
won a trophy and that is success. But like I said before about Arteta, I do like him. I do see something in what he's built here.
Yeah.
And I do think, I mean, maybe Ten Hag, this would be the same with him. Maybe it's hard to know really, but Ten Hag could be like this in a few years' time. It's so tough to know, and I think that's why as well giving him maybe 2 seasons, a deal might give him time to really prove to fans that he can,
Maybe.
go far. It's so tough with Ten Hag because I
It's
know before he came, a lot of fans really wanted him, and now he's here, they want him to
Yeah,
go.
I know. I feel like I don't know him personally, but just I almost like get just annoyed when I see his face because it just annoys me with, some of his interviews and just
Yeah.
how, it like you said, I was super gassed when we were linked with him,
Mm,
we got him. I felt it, everything that he would say, yes, you know. And after the first season, let's be honest, we probably did overachieve. But I was thinking, okay, next season,
mhm,
expect us to play some better football. Nope.
mhm.
Nope. It's not been good.
It's so weird. I mean, it was so weird of Arteta because when we were going through that time where we were really struggling, he would
Yeah.
say things, but we weren't doing it on the pitch. What you would, like, he would say all the right things, but on the pitch we weren't doing that, and it's so draining. It's so tough to go
It is.
through that as a club. I mean, I've been through that. I mean, there were times where I was a bit fed up of him because it's frustrating when the players as well. I know players don't do this as much, but they would always come out and apologize on social media, and
Yeah.
a lot of fans would rather than apologize on the pitch and put in better
Yes.
performances.
I'm tired of that as well. Shush.
Yeah.
Just what you want to do on the pitch, please.
Yeah, I
Mm-mm.
agree. I mean, the only thing that I actually do think's good, a few seasons back, David Luiz actually came out and did an interview to say he was really sorry about his performance against Man City, which did lose us the game.
Yeah.
And I actually felt his apology. It felt genuine. And with
Mm.
social media, it's so different because I know when he apologized, I know as well in the comments they'll get a lot of hate as well. And I think
Yeah.
I think when you've had a defeat, fans just want to be left alone. And so they'll be okay in a few days. But I think when it's so tough when you go through that. But I think
Yes.
United can definitely take a turn, hopefully. Sophia, some people say Ten Hag should have gone when they lost 7-0 to Liverpool.
I mean, hindsight, yes, he should have gone. 100%. Unacceptable. But
That
here we
was
are.
bad. Yeah. Uh,
That
It's
is,
weird to think that managers can survive that sort of thrashing and still have their
I
job.
mean, I like the number seven, right? That is one of my favorite numbers.
Yeah.
I can look at the number seven for at least a couple of weeks. I work at a school, but prior to that, I worked also with
Mm,
kids, but not really at a school. And all of the kids know that I really love football. And there were,
mhm.
some United fans, but also some Real Madrid fans. Real Madrid young fans beefing with Man United for no reason, saying, "What's seven plus nil? Seven. How many days are there in a week? Seven." They just kept.
Mm.
This is what Ten Hag put me through. Pure agony.
I know it's so
Mm,
tough to go through that. I mean, it's
yeah.
it's so hard because I know if we went through, last I don't know, just any time. I mean, when we lost to Man City, I can't remember the score. I think it was like 5-0. I think it was at the start of the season. I was on holiday at the time, so it was actually not bad, but all day I was thinking about how humiliating it was, and do you know what? It's even worse when you're at the game and you've got to sit through that humiliation.
I bet. Oh, mm-mm-mm.
It must be hard, but I think, yeah, it can be easy to sack a manager when you're feeling emotional, but I think in the long run, I think it could work out, and I'm hopeful with Ten Hag if the right players came in and if you got rid of players that you probably don't think's good enough, I think. I think you could have a good season. I'm just excited to
I
see
hope.
who both our clubs are going to bring in. Like I
Yeah.
said, I'm not feeling confident about a striker, but I really want one.
I think if I'm not gonna lie, like let's say if you got Isak,
Mm.
I would say you win in the league if you got him. That's
Yeah,
how confident I will be. That's how good he is, you know? But
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, when Ronaldo was linked to Man City, I was thinking he's going to win the league with them. And then when he came to you guys, I was
I'm
thinking he
sorry,
might
I
win the
almost
league.
barfed. That just made
Yeah.
me feel
Do you know
sick.
that?
Oh,
Do you know that day was the craziest day ever? And I was actually in Manchester that day, and
you you were?
and
Ay, ay, ay.
everyone was talking about it, and I was thinking
Oh my
like.
god.
The thing is, I didn't want him to go to United, but I didn't want him to go to City, like, it was quite strange, but I knew that I was worried that if he went to you guys, he would win you the league, like, I really believed that, and
And it did not.
it did
I'm
not
not
happen.
hey, I was after when we won 5-1 against Leeds the first game, I thought we were winning the league as well.
Yeah,
And
I
he hadn't
think
even he wasn't even there yet. He was still, he technically was there, but not fully there. So I was gassed.
yeah,
Oof,
I believe that,
that was rough.
I still yeah, do you know what, I've always been a Ronaldo over Messi type of person, I really do
Same.
like Ronaldo. But, I mean, when he missed that penalty the other night, I know this sounds bad, but I don't think satisfying is the word, but it was I just knew he was gonna miss it. Do you know, sometimes I watch players and I just have a feeling that they're gonna miss, but I
I know
think
what you mean.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think sometimes you can just feel when a player's
Yeah.
not gonna do it, but I honestly really hope he has a good tournament for Portugal.
Me
I mean,
too.
I think I look at him now and I think he's very good, but he's not the player he was, and I
Oh,
think
he definitely is.
I don't think how many years do you reckon he's got left? Because I know he wants to play for as long as he can.
I mean, he has come out since after that game. He did say like this is gonna be his last Euros. So I
Yeah,
feel like I think he'll be done after the World Cup.
yeah,
He'll be 41 then. I think he's done then.
yeah. I think it's incredible
Generally.
way yeah. I think to see how, his how fitness he looks at his age now,
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
think
mean, if
it's
he
in
wanted to, he can keep going. But I think at some point you're like, am I really gonna keep? Am I gonna go out in a very very bad way? No. Let's try to
yeah, you'd rather want to be remembered for the good times rather than, like, the bad times if he does ever I don't know,
yeah.
whatever he ends his career, but I think, like we said, I think he's had an amazing career in Portugal as well
Oh
for
yeah.
Euros. I'm hoping they do go far. Obviously, I want England to win, but I think they'll
I
do well. Yeah, but, thank you so much for coming on my channel today.
thank you.
I've honestly enjoyed this, like, I feel like I could just
Me
talk to
too.
you all day.
Yeah, no, first and foremost, thank you for having me on. I very glad that you invited me on, and I had a great time. I can't even believe it's been close to an hour now.
I
I
know,
had a
honestly, I
blast.
was looking, I thought, "Gosh, we've been talking
I was
crazy."
like, what? It
Yeah,
was
but
really good.
I've really enjoyed it, and I do appreciate you coming on. And before we do end the stream, I thought you could just tell people a bit about your channel, where they can find you, and what sort of stuff you do.
Yes, so you guys can find me on Sophia's Football Talk. I do, like you mentioned earlier, I
Mm,
do, especially now, a lot of Euros
yeah,
content, more so reacting to the games, talking about them, just quick 20 minutes ish. But also, of course, do some United content, both for the men and women, especially
mm,
more the men's team, but the women's
yeah,
been a little bit more quiet now. But, once the Champions League stuff comes, then transfer talks, just a bit of everything, to
yeah.
be fair.
I love
Um,
that. Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's great.
mhm.
I always say it's so kind of hard when when the women's team, are playing, the men's team playing, you want to do content on both. It's so hard to find the time, honestly.
Yes, it
But
is.
I always think it's amazing to those that do sort of find the time to chat a bit about both. Because I
Yeah,
mainly speak about the men's, but I also do a lot of stuff on the women's. I think it's good to
same.
because other people want to know about the women's team, and I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah, yeah.
great.
There's an audience
Yeah.
for that as well.
Yeah,
So
this I
I
think
think that's a
especially
great thing.
now with
Yeah,
women's football, I think there's a big audience, which I think is amazing, and I think
Yeah,
I always think it's amazing when people are doing content on that as well.
100%.
Um, but before we go, I want to get your thoughts. Who's going to win the Euros? I want to know who you think is going to do it.
I was saying prior to the tournament started, I was thinking maybe Germany could do it, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe. But I'm gonna say maybe Germany, but I really want it to be Portugal or the Netherlands. I've been big
yeah.
fan of those nations. England will be my, third pick, but I don't think you guys are gonna do it, unfortunately. So sorry.
No, I don't
I don't
either.
think
Don't
it's coming
worry.
home.
I'm not feeling confident. Don't worry.
Yeah. But Spain have really been impressing me, but
Mm,
I think Germany's gonna win. I'm gonna say
yeah.
Germany.
Yeah, do you know what? Do you know when the first game I watched them and I thought, I think they can do it, especially when it's on the home ground.
Hmm.
I think as well Havertz as well. I think he's been doing good. I definitely think they're going to be at a final. With England,
Yes.
not very confident. We have obviously been getting the results. I mean, we got the result the other day, but I wasn't impressed. It was not a great performance. I felt more embarrassed if we went home, to be honest, more than anything, because we should at least get to a semi-final. I would say that's the worst I would want to see. But yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Germany, Spain. I think any of them can do it. I'm just excited. It's nice to watch them, and then it'd be nice to watch the Premier League come back, where we'll both do lots of
Yes.
stuff, and we'll definitely have to do a collab for that when we play each
Oh,
other. Definitely.
100%. We will.
But yeah, thank you all as well that have watched this, that have came in, showed us lots of nice messages, comments, and that have liked this stream. Do subscribe as well. Do subscribe to Sophia's channel because she's doing amazing stuff. And yeah, I will
Thank you.
see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.